Today we will learn the VE pump engine. First, let me introduce myself now. I am still familiar to you, Teacher Pauline. Please remember my WeChat gxyj876 or my email. According to the practice of the training courseware, we are still in accordance with the engine system to introduce the basic knowledge of the engine. We are going to talk about it in 7 parts, focusing on the fuel system. About engine name, F is engine series and 3.8 is displacement. For performance parameters, it's more important to focus on intake exhaust valve size and minimum starting speed. By changing the engine fuel system control program, engines of the same displacement can have different power. ESN is very important information about engine. It's the unique identification through ESN information. We can check the technical state of the engine when it leaves the factory and the accessories information in the later state through the system. The ESN information for the engine has 2 positions on the engine. The mechanical system is basic structure of engine. Board cylinders in parent material and a thin dry cylinder liner can be used for repair. Adopt integral crankshaft integrated drive gear and oil pump gear. Neither gear is serviceable. Fractured and angle split and cannot be repaired. The long side towards exhaust side. After removing the connector rod, paired it to prevent misassembly. This engine adopts one-piece aluminum piston, and towards the front of piston is marked front. Like this picture, you can see the 1 and 2. They all face to exhaust side. Like all F-series engines adopt J-type cooling nozzles. No fallen or damage can be reused. Pay attention to the direction of the first and second piston ring. There is mark on it. There is only one combustion and without a signal ring. The hollow camshaft provides a channel for oil-air separation. For VE pump engine, the timing mark is important. The crankshaft gear and the lazy gear with fuel pump gear. Notice the mark for timing special tool. Cummins special design and installation allows for a much longer time to adjust the valve clearance. The tappet rotates as it moves up and down. Use the jumper clamp to press two valves at the same time, and the directionless requirement. The valve guide is integrated with the cylinder head and cannot be replaced alone. Valve seals are selected according to the color, and the same length bolts for cylinder head. Gasket cannot be reused and not graded. In other words, there are no cousins of various thickness to choose. When the gasket is damaged, it causes oil in water or water in oil. The power is low and an even more serious failure. The valve cover is designed by Cummins and made of environmentally friendly materials with light weight. Use a reusable seal. Used to seal the oil, pay attention to the outside to determine whether the oil leaks. Use the modular design of front gear housing cover. Integrated oil pump and oil pressure regulator at the same time. Applied assembled position of crankshaft sensor. The crankshaft pulley and speed indicator ring are permanent assembly. No vibration damper. This indicates that the resonance phenomenon of the engine will not occur in the working process. The unique mounting position of the signal wheel and the crankshaft can be determined by the locating pin. Equipped with a borrow steel seal. This type of oil borrow seal has very high installation requirements and must use special tool to install. The reactive moving service is inside the oil seal. Rear gear housing is redesigned for new fuel pump and timing pin. Sealant should be applied to rear gear housing after installation. This engine is equipped with a lip steel rear crankshaft seal. This type seal don't need special tool. Reactive moving service is between housing and crankshaft surface. The engine lubrication system is the guarantee for the engine to work normally. After pressurizing and stabilizing the oil through the oil pump, it enters the oil filter and the cooler enters the main oil channel. Entering main oil channel, oil uses to lubricate parts. Fire of internal components can cause low oil pressure or even light the pressure alarm lamp. Lubrication oil pan applies composite material and the reuse seal. It's important for drain plug torque and integrated crude oil filter at bottom of oil pan. rotary oil pump, and integrated front gear cover housing. Internal driving gear can be replaced and integrates limit press valve and pressure regulating valve. Oil leaking from the regulating valve returns to oil pan. If the valve is damaged, it causes the low pressure or high pressure. Lubrication oil cooler is module integrated by heat exchanger, filter seat, and water pump housing, bypass valve. Any part is failure, all must whole be replaced. This module doesn't include oil pressure switch. This engine is equipped full floor oil filter and no remote installation option. A blockage in the oil filter does not cause oil pressure to be too low, so replacing the filter when the oil pressure is too low can solve the problem. It can be solved to check the oil filter bypass valve. Oil cooling nozzle is used and is not a disposal component. It provides the cooling and the lubrication. No collision or fall can be used again. No any special tools to measure the angle. Incorrect angle that fail to ensure normal jet cooling can be lead to more serious failure. For moving parts, it's important to lubricate, like turbocharger and air pressure pump. When you find water in oil or oil in water, the air pressure pump may be damaged. At the same time, according to the phenomenon to ensure the failure point, air pressure pump, gasket, oil cooler, and so on. This engine adopts open breather structure. Breather is used to control the crankcase pressure. If the pressure is high or low, the turbocharger will be damaged. In some countries, the breather type is different, including opening structure and closed structure according to emission regulatory requirements.
山岗，换上我的红装，我一路放声歌唱。天地间一幅画，我在画的中央。我是草原上火花的姑娘，熊熊篝火称王，请你照亮草原天堂。敬上一杯美酒，祝福在我心上，请你为我拍拍手，为我鼓鼓掌。今夜不醉不归，让我唱到天亮。我的情歌在飞扬，美酒在飘香。我最爱的人啊，快和我一起唱。在斟满这一杯，问你想不想？我是蒙古草原上火火的 个山岗，换上我的红装，我一路放声歌唱。天地间一幅画，我在画的中央，我是草原上火花的姑娘。熊熊篝火成王，请你照亮草原天堂。献上一杯美酒，祝福在我心上，请你为我拍拍手，为我鼓鼓掌。今夜不醉不归，让我唱到天亮。我的情歌在飞扬，美酒在飘香。我最爱的人，快和我一起唱，在斟满这一杯，问你想不想？我是蒙古草原上火花的姑娘。
Now, let us discuss cooling system. Different engine uses different cooling system. Positive pressure system and negative pressure system. The cooling system often uses for heating protection of engine. Through water pump, cooling water enter the oil cooler first, then enter the engine, return to the thermal state. Water pump is driven by crankshaft through the belt. The speed of the engine determines the speed of the cooling system circle. The speed is high, the water is small, so the secondary water tank is important for cooling system. The thermostat is a door of control engine temperature. If the thermostat is damaged, the engine may be high temperature or low temperature. High temperature will lead to stop the engine or low power. The low temperature will cause pressure wear. As the engine accelerates throttle type, the air inlet temperature and the pressure sensor is cancelled. But there is one pipe connected with VE pump, commonly known as smoke controller. If the connecting pipe is disconnected, it will lead to engine failure, such as weak acceleration and increased fuel consumption. So it isn't allowed to start engine without a thermostat. Next, we will learn about the intake and exhaust system. The most important problem in the intake flow is the heat dissipation after the intake is heated by the turbocharger. Controlling the temperature of the air enter the engine is the premise to ensure the engine power. The exhaust system is equipped with different after-treatment systems according to different engine emission. Turbocharger is an important part of the engine. It can increase the maximum power output of the engine, but not the maximum torque of the engine. Turbocharger failure may result in abnormal engine oil consumption or pollution of the exhaust system, resulting in the failure of the after-treatment system. The cooling capacity of the charged air cooling directly affects the power of the engine. The enrichment of heat dissipation ability will increase the density of air entering the engine, increase the oxygen content, and thus increase the amount of fuel injection, then increasing the engine power. Manifold adopts one-time using seal and integrated heating intake. This engine uses electrically controlled VE pump. The inlet album needs to be removed before disassembling VE pump. The most important system for an engine is the fuel system. The fault adjustment of fuel system is the main problem in engine maintenance. The fuel system flaw is the basis of fault diagnosis. Fuel from fuel tank to the low-pressure fuel filter, then to the electric control VE pump, at last enter the injector to inject. Return fuel of the fuel system is very important for fuel system working. VE pump has 4 connecting pipes according to the number of the injectors, with return fuel through the cylinder head and the back end of the injection pump at the same time. Fuel enter the 10 micrometer filter, then VE pump, increase fuel pressure to the injector. Return fuel flow. Cylinder head is injector return fuel. Return fuel from pump is necessary for working pump. The internal structure of VE pump is shown in the picture. VE pump inlet and pressure are established opening and closing the fuel cutoff solenoid valve. The pressure is established and the fuel injector is opened by reciprocating. The low-pressure wind pump regulates the fuel output pressure of the pump through the regulating valve, and the position of the regulating timing device is adjusted by the speed of the pump. Fuel pressure is proportional to pump speed. Through this picture, let us know the extra structure of the electric VE pump. Pay attention to the fuel support valve, injector timing actuator, accelerator pedal sensor, and timing plug position sensor idle screw. Through these parts of the video to explain the VE pump structure and working principle. VE pump use wind-type low-pressure fuel transfer pump. The fuel pressure is also increased and distributed to each cylinder according to the engine's fire sequence. VE pump is driven by the engine and the camshaft plate rotating. Camshaft plate number valves is the same with engine cylinders. The camshaft plate drives the camshaft spring, and the plunger forms reciprocating and rotation itself. The rotary motion can allow fuel to the engine pump chamber. At the same time, distribute the pressure fuel to the corresponding injector. Fuel pressure is increased by reciprocating movement of the plunger. The pressure fuel passes through the outlet valve to the injector. The number of the valves is equal to the number of the cylinders. There are a center hole, a passage connecting the distribution slot, and a control sleeve on the rotor. With the rotation of the rotor, the fuel inlet groove is away from the fuel inlet hole. The plunger compresses the fuel isolate. When the distribution groove is exposed to the distribution channel, the high-pressure fuel passes through the fuel outlet valve to the injector. After completing one stroke, the fuel inlet hole is opened again for next stroke. When the inlet groove is connected to the inlet hole, the fuel enters the pump fuel chamber. As the rotor turns off, the inlet channel compresses the fuel enters the injector through the distribution groove. The overflow hole on the distribution groove is covered by the sliding sleeve. When the fuel injection stops, the overflow hole slides out of the sliding sleeve to make the fuel back to the pump. The control of the fuel injection is achieved by controlling the effective stroke of the axle. The governor controls the action of the slip sleeve to determine the travel. Sliding of the sleeve will cause the overflow hole to open ahead of the time. This reduces the effective stroke and thus the amount of fuel injected. Conversely, when the sleeve moves in the opposite direction, the effective stroke will be increased, thus increasing the amount of fuel injection. Governor according to the pedal position and engine load. To change the sleeve position determine the different amount of fuel injection. Let's understand the fuel distribution working principle of distribution pump. The first part is the identification of parts. One is the fuel pump body. You can name the distribution body assembly. The second is entering fuel inlet. The third is distribution fuel channel to injector. The number of channel is the same with the number of cylinder. The fourth is amount of fuel adjustment sleeve. The fifth is relief hole. The amount of injection fuel is adjusted by sleeve. The sleeve moves to adjust relief hole. The last is plunger for increasing and reducing the pressure of fuel. There are fuel channels on the distribution plunger, and the number of fuel channels is the same as the number of cylinders. Each inlet distribution tank is connected to the outlet pipe. When the section process is over, the fuel is sealed in plunger chamber as the plunger rotates. When the increase of fuel pressure, the high pressure fuel opens the fuel outlet valve of the corresponding fuel inlet channel, and the injector begins to inject. At the end of the injection, the control sleeve opens the relief hole to drain the excess fuel out of the plunger chamber. This circle starts the different injectors in sequence.
的对错，最后都有个如果。还有什么美丽值得铭刻？曾听过太多飞蛾扑火，被人赞美成了传说，谁不是流泪的旁观者？看着你的背影慢慢淡了如月，对远走空下了风景最美的残缺。骗自己相思不是诀别，就像3月里的春雪，等到黄秋过了重逢几何。我站在山的尽头，看着云朵飞走，你像昨夜的海市蜃楼，给我漫天别有，浮越万水千秋，回忆太美，所以人才念旧。我守在梦的出口，任凭人来人走，落花烛光像你的温柔，花瓣慢慢腐朽，化作情歌几首，物是人非里默默消愁。看着你的背影慢慢淡泪如月，对远走空下了风景最美的残缺。骗自己相思不是诀别，就像3月里的春雪，等到黄秋过了重逢几何。我站在山的尽头，看着云朵飞走，你像昨夜的海市蜃楼，给我漫天别有，浮越万水千秋，回忆太美，所以人才念旧。我守在梦的出口，任凭人来人走，落花烛光像你的温柔，花瓣慢慢腐朽，化作情歌几首，物是人非里默默消愁。我站在山的尽头，看着云朵飞走，你像昨夜的海市蜃楼，给我漫天别有，浮越万水千秋，回忆太美，所以人才念旧。我守在梦的出口，任凭人来人走，落花烛光像你的温柔，花瓣慢慢腐朽，化作情歌几首，物是人非里默默消愁，物是人非里默默消愁。
For VE pump engine, the special tool is very important. You must learn to use these tools by video and operation to learn. Pay attention to the torque for screw. Different screw, different torque. Standard torque ensure safe operation. Fuel injectors can be calibrated and maintained by equipment. Technical specification is an important basis for us to judge faults. The control system is the control center of the electronical controlled engine. The sensors and actuators of the engine control system are the promise to ensure the correct fuel injection of the engine at the correct time. Fault codes can help us quickly locate fault points during maintenance. The fault code can be read by the fault line flashing code of the diagnostic special tool. The engine ECU is installed in the cab to control the operation of the engine. This is the engine ECU connector definition. Engine sensors and all kinds of switches are input signals, and switches and actuators are also the motor action guaranteed. Engine speed sensor can reflect the load on the engine. Oil pressure sensor is a switch. When the oil pressure is low, the warning light is on. Accelerator position sensor is used to represent the driver's requirement for the power of the vehicle. Okay, that's all. If you have any problem, please email me. This engine is a simple electric system, so if the engine is not working, you can try to start without any sensor. Bye.